Voilà, donc ça c'est lancé.
Merci. Hello. Hello, everybody. So, Anne, maybe you could share the presentation, please?
Can you see it?
Yes, we can see it. Could you? Perfect. Thank you, Anne. So,
One thing,
good.
I cannot anymore let people enter in the meeting. So if Kira, maybe you could, as I am in full screen.
Ok.
Thank you, Kira.
Thank you, boss. So, hello, good morning or good afternoon, everyone. So, welcome to this first TwInSolar workshop on research and innovation and solar energy in islands and outermost regions. So, I'm Claire Haley. I'm a project and policy officer at the CPMR Islands Commission, and I will have the pleasure of being your moderator today. So our topic today will be fostering a virtuous research and innovation dynamic through the energy transition in islands and outermost regions. And so before we dive in, I would like to share with you a few recommendations. So please remember to indicate correctly in Zoom your full name and region or organization so that we can easily identify you. We have interpreters with us today, so you can choose your language to hear in French or English. So to do so, you can select the little world, the little globe, which says interpretation, or you go in the plus, you select interpretation, and you can choose the language in which you want to hear the meeting. Please also remember to mute your microphone and turn off your camera if you are not speaking. And if you want to take the floor, you can use the chat box or raise your hand and you will be given the floor. Great. So next slide, please. Let's have a quick look at the agenda today. So we will have an introduction with Jean-Pierre Chabriat, who is a regional councillor in charge of research and energy transition at the Réunion region. Thank you very much for being with us today. And then we will have an introduction by Mathieu David, who is the TwInSolar project coordinator and also the head of the laboratory Piment at the University of Réunion, and who will do this on behalf of the project. Then we will hear some best practices from other islands and outermost regions, from Canary Islands with our colleague Daniel Henriquez, and from Gotland with Patrick Dahl. Then we will dive into opportunities and the state of play at EU level with Marcel Tobias Schreiber, Policy Officer for Cohesion at CPMR, and Bertrand Noiret, who is the French national contact point for Horizon Europe, widening participation and ERA. We will finish our session with a debate between participants, and you will be able to ask your question and also share your comments. So without further ado, I will now give the floor to Mr. Chabriat to introduce this workshop. Thank you very much.
Très bien. Écoutez, mesdames et messieurs, merci.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and
votre présence
thank you for your presence here today.
Introduire la problématique
First and foremost, I'd like to introduce the subject regarding Reunion Unite, and I'll present a slideshow that I presented at the most recent meeting of our regional council in La Réunion Island.
Un peu perdu, là. Alors, c'est partage d'écran sur
I'm just
ici.
going to share my screen with you.
Voilà. Donc, je pense que vous voyez le
Tout à fait.
diaporama.
Well,
Oui,
I think
tout à
you can
fait.
see, yes, we can see you.
Écoutez, pour resituer les choses, même en matière de recherche, développement et
In terms of
innovation sur le plan
research and
des énergies renouvelables,
innovation
et en particulier sur le
in
plan des
renewable
régions
energy resources, with
ultrapériphériques de nos
particular
îles,
reference to
et de
the
façon générale au niveau
outermost
de
regions
l'Europe et des
and
territoires
the European
dits
Union,
non interconnectés
and
par
the
des réseaux
what we call the non-interconnected
continentaux.
regions on an
La problématique qui nous
intercontinental
est
level.
posée à La
The
Réunion, mais
problem,
dans d'autres
the
territoires, c'est
project that
d'être
we have in
résilient
La
sur le
Réunion
plan énergétique,
and the problem
comme sur le
is
plan sanitaire, comme
energy
sur le plan
resilience,
alimentaire,
as
face aux
also
différentes
food
crises
resilience, food
qui peuvent
sustainability. It's another
survenir dans
source of
les années à
sustainability
venir
and a
et les
problem for
décennies à venir.
sustainability, which is
Donc,
a problem for now and the future. So
politique
the
du
objective,
territoire
the
de La
political
Réunion, c'est de
objective of
s'orienter
Reunion
vers une
Island
autonomie
is to
énergétique
shift
du territoire
towards
avec un accès
a form of
néanmoins
energy
équitable,
sobriety
un accès
with a fair,
favorisé sur le plan
sustainable
des
access
ressources
for
sociales,
all,
faire en
and
sorte que tous
to
puissent
make
avoir
sure that
accès à
everybody can
une
have
énergie
access
disponible,
to
durable,
available,
au sein
sustainable
de notre île,
energy
au sein de notre
within
territoire,
our
et
island and
pour
territory,
notamment aussi, comment dire, s'adapter
and
aux
to be able to
questions
adapt
environnementales et aux
to
questions
the
du changement
environmental issues
climatique.
that we are faced
Alors,
with
juste
today.
pour vous situer quand même
Now, to situate
les
this
choses,
issue and
il est toujours
Reunion
bon de
Island and
rappeler
show
où
you
se
where
trouve La
Reunion
Réunion. La
Island
Réunion,
is, it's
c'est
very
une
important to
île
see where it
française,
is.
c'est une île
It's a
européenne
French
qui est
territory. It's
à
it's a
proximité,
European
on
territory,
dira,
in fact,
de
which is
Madagascar, la grande
near
île
Madagascar,
continent qui est à côté de
or
chez
which is
nous,
the
et
large
qui est à
island
200
situated
km de l'île
near
Maurice,
us.
mais qui en tout
It's
cas
200
est dans le bassin maritime du sud-ouest
kilometers
de l'océan Indien.
from Mauritius Island.
Alors, le
Now, you can
positionnement par
see
rapport à l'Europe
the
est
position with
celui-ci,
regard
et par
to
rapport à
Europe
d'autres régions
and regard
ultrapériphériques
to
européennes.
other
Donc, la position de la Réunion,
outer,
qui est à
outlying regions.
1 heure,
Reunion
à
Island
11 heures d'avion, à une
is
heure
a 11-hour
d'avion
flight
de
from
l'Hexagone,
France.
mais néanmoins, c'est une
Nevertheless,
région, un
it's
territoire
it's
éloigné
one
des
of the
territoires
outermost
le plus important
regions
européen, mais c'est un territoire
of
européen et
Europe,
nous
but it is a
souhaitons
European territory,
de faire en sorte
and
que ça soit un territoire
our
qui soit
wish
véritablement
is
un
it
fer de
should
lance, non seulement de la
really
France,
be
mais aussi de l'Europe dans l'océan Indien,
almost an
que ce soit dans le
example
domaine de l'innovation et de la
for
recherche, et en
innovation and
particulier sur les
research
questions
in
énergétiques.
sustainable energy, and
Donc, à
particularly for
nouveau, un
energy.
positionnement dans
So
l'Indian
here again,
Océanie. Nous
the
formons un
position, you
ensemble
can see
cohérent
that we have
dans
a
l'Indian
coherent
Océanie, mais il est
territory,
important de
which is
noter que
called the
sur le plan
India
énergétique, nous avons
Oceania.
une
But
problématique
one of the
particulière,
main
c'est que
problems
nous sommes
here
un
is
territoire
that
isolé
we are an
sur le
isolated
plan énergétique.
territory
Nous
in terms of
disposons d'un
energy
certain
supply.
nombre de ressources.
We do have a number of resources, of course.
Attendez, hop. Ça n'avance pas. Je n'ai pas la diapo suivante, donc je vais utiliser. Voilà. Donc, je vais aller sur la diapo suivante. J'espère que vous voyez bien quand même.
You can see the
Donc,
slide.
la
Yes.
configuration politique de la Réunion, quand même, il faut situer les choses.
Well,
C'est un
to
territoire de
situate the island
2500
politically,
km², avec à peu près
it's
aujourd'hui
200
900 000
square
habitants.
kilometers.
Les secteurs clés de l'économie sont les
With
secteurs de
860,000
l'agriculture, du
inhabitants,
tourisme,
with our economies, key
l'agroalimentaire, le
sectors
secteur
are
énergétique et aussi des services
agriculture
publics.
and
Alors, nous quand
tourism.
même une part importante des éléments qui sont nécessaires au fonctionnement économique
we provide
du territoire.
most of
C'est
the
aussi un
resources that
territoire
are
qui est un
necessary for the
territoire
island
tropical,
already. It's a
insulaire,
tropical
situé en zone
island, and it's situated in an area where we can have cyclones and hurricanes. We're subject to hurricanes, and that's particularly important with the climate change that's ongoing now. And we have a very wide ranging biodiversity. We are, and this is a French territory, and in energy terms, we depend. We have a large energy dependence with an energy consumption which is largely concerned by 65% for mobility, 23% is for the production of electricity per se, and a small percentage for producing heat from industries, and 6% other sources such as agriculture and industrial services. But what's very, very important here in terms of electricity production is that above and beyond all of the political narrative that in 2025 that we should be 100% renewable in terms of energy. Nevertheless, that's the political narrative, but nevertheless, only 30 to 35% of that energy is really, truly renewable, produced locally. That's important to bear in mind. So if we're talking about autonomy, energy autonomy, and in the evolution of our energy dependence rate, if you can see that in the first 20 years, over those last 20 years, the figures really haven't changed much. So there is still a certain degree of dependency. We are dependent, just like at Guadeloupe, Martinique, and other islands. And there's been an increase in the energy consumption, but globally, over this period, we've just maintained, we've managed to sort of contain the problem, but not really go beyond a sense of containment. We've not really been able to shift towards a greater energy independence over that period. And if you compare with the other French overseas territories, it's really much the same problem you can see. And this is the reason why we have set a new objective, a new timeline, if you like. It's to be totally independent by 2050. But 2050, it's just around the corner. So we've got 25 years now to achieve that objective. We have to construct a reliable, resourceful policy to do this. And so it's not this won't be easy. And in political terms, the question of energy in Europe are obviously not exactly the same as the sort of as the problems that we have to face in our area, particularly an island like ours. So you can see what the energy objective is, and certainly a number of actions are underway in order to control our energy demand. We've been able to contain, as I was saying, our energy consumption. We're still up to about 85%, but a certain number of measures have been taken in terms of by our local collective authorities, but we need to go beyond the measures that have been taken. We've got to certainly deploy a much more solar power and become much more energy resilient.
Quand on regarde les questions de mobilité, en particulier,
you're looking at the issues, the focus on mobility, most of the we have 480,000 vehicles in our road network, on 3,100 kilometers of road, with a road net which is vulnerable to climate change. Of course, as you can see, during the hurricanes, that it has a very, very serious consequence regarding rockfalls and landslides and submersible roads as well. So this leads to frequent problems such as traffic jams on the coastal road. So regarding the energy transition, you can look at it in various angles. There's the question of the necessity, but the present necessity, but there's the question of mobility as well. And we don't really have any strategy regarding mobility because of the climatic and geographical situation that Reunion is in. So we have a future 2050 non-interconnected territory strategy. We're going to be developing a much more solar plan. We need to control our energy demand. We certainly need to develop a hydrogen plan coupled with an offshore wind power plan. But this hydrogen plan can only be developed if it's coupled with the offshore wind power. And if we're going to be able to develop that fully, then we have to have a really concerted plan. We have to develop intelligent networks. We have to develop hydrogen and the storage of hydrogen as well. And we have to combine this with our mobility plan. And in terms of research and innovation, we have to concentrate our research on these issues. We have to couple it with a deep and surface geothermal plan as well, which adds to the mix here. So that's the concerted plan. So in terms of the plan that we are now developing in terms of our 2050 roadmap, there is solar plan for a solar roof for every home, and that's absolutely essential to have solar hot water. That we have to develop nano grids, developing smart grids. We have to be able to be much better in predictive terms as well. We need to control solar energy. We need to be able to we have to promote the development of electric vehicles, the accessibility to charging points. We have to control we have to develop autonomous units of accommodation in order to be able to improve our energy resilience. And so and we have to have a plan whereby our villages and towns become much more resilient once they have suffered a hurricane or an adverse climatic event. We have to be able to rebound back very fast, if you like. And so this involves solar power. This involves, but with a very rational mix here. But our main priority here is to be able to use solar power as a maximum within a whole plan that is totally controlled and totally forecastable, so that we can meet these challenges as and when they arise, because we know that they will arise. This is part and parcel of our resilience plan. In the next 10 years, we therefore have our mobility plan with offshore wind power plan coupled with a hydrogen plan. I don't think that the massive rollout of electric vehicles is necessarily the answer for islands like ours. It's because there is a sort of a territorial specificity to an island like ours, but that involves another range of issues. But anyway, but it's solar energy is a base, a sort of a fundamental power that will allow us to become become much more resilient in the future. It's something that we can capitalize upon together with other sources of power in the mix. So to be able to, within the framework of our project here, Vincent Marge, who is one of my colleagues, will be able to talk about, to go further into these issues with you, perhaps in another meeting. But in terms of research and innovation, we have decided, and this has already been decided and signed off, we're going to invest in a new regional technological center to support companies in with research and innovation, which will be coupled in with associated with our regional R&D laboratories in the university, so that we have a fully operational overarching system that is able to test, roll out, test new solutions, to provide demonstrators, so that we can make sure that the research world and the economic world is working fully together, and that our companies and SMEs have full access to all of the latest technology and solutions that can make us more resilient and more sustainable in the future as we move towards that deadline of 2050. So that in the end we have and we also, of course, we will need to earmark more funding to this as well, so that we can ultimately transform, we sort of create a sort of a house with all the bricks, component bricks that we are producing at the moment, and so that Reunion Island can, in a sense, become a demonstrator for other islands such as ours. If you have any questions, of course, I'm available to answer those until 3:30.
Well, insightful presentation, and for also recalling the importance of the autonomy for energy for islands and outermost regions, and also this crucial question of the resilience, and in particular to climate change. So thank you very much for being with us. And I will now give the floor to Mathieu David, who is the TwInSolar coordinator, and so the head of the Piedmont laboratory, for an introduction on behalf of the project. Mathieu, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Alors, merci beaucoup, Claire.
Thank you.
Alors,
Thank you, Claire.
Partager correctement.
Just bear with a moment. I'm just going to share with you, share my screen with you. There we are. So thank you for this introduction, Jean-Pierre, which has really situated the project TwInSolar in the overall situation of Réunion Island. First of all, I give you a presentation of the project. So it's a 3-year Horizon Europe project with a 1.48 million euro budget funded by the Commission. 5 partners. Well, there are only 4 now because one of them has left us. So it's Reunion Island with 2 partners, which is Sanofi. We have Fraunhofer, the Technical University of Denmark. Of course, we have the CPMR Islands Commission and University of the Union. So the objective is with twinning to increase the capacity for research and innovation of Reunion Island in the domain of solar power. And as Jean-Pierre was saying, it really is essential to our preoccupations to have solar power in Reunion Island. And this gives us the possibility of really trying to really moving forward to this this territorial resilience, and today we're going to be exchanging best practices, current best practices, and so we'll see be comparing those and building partnerships and reinforces capacities. These really are the overarching aims of TwInSolar. And we'll be seeing a case study with the Terre Sainte University campus, where we have already have 80% of renewables already. So the objectives of sharing best practices here within the framework of TwInSolar. The main objective is to increase the competitiveness and the internationalization of Reunion's energy R&I system, and to learn from the best. And SK and so Fraunhofer in Germany, and Technical University of Denmark as well, to see that through mutual learning with key stakeholders, we can really move forward. So seeing how our partners proceed, what they've decided to implement, their systems, we've tried to really identify the most pertinent solutions that we can reproduce in Reunion Island. And through these workshops, we're going to be able to share our ecosystems, share knowledge on our ecosystems, and how we can all learn from each other. So this is the methodology that we've set up for sharing our best practices, and we did study visits in Denmark and visits in 2022 and 23, and we conducted B2B interviews in 2023 in Copenhagen in the Baden-Württemberg region. And we tried to see how all these ecosystems were working, and we tried to sort of pinpoint what the most remarkable initiatives are. So the objective then was to have these quadruple helix seminars. That was in 2023 and 24. And now the rollout is the science policy dialogue workshops that we are starting today. So how we can learn from each other. So how can we reproduce initiatives that have already been undertaken elsewhere. And so we now have this more overarching consultation there, where we're seeing how we can improve regional R&I system performance. So that's really been our timeline, methodological timeline over the last 3 years, seeing how we can improve our regional R&I. Just some of the the outstanding initiatives that have been identified here. You've got so the solar cluster in Baden-Württemberg, in the Hohenstaden region in Denmark. There's the Power Labs, so, and also a number of startups that have already been started to be able to drive up startups and entrepreneurship. We've identified a number of personalities, leading personalities here, who are the drivers and the disruptors in this technology. And an island has been, for example, in Denmark, an island is totally interconnected with the other islands now, and we've had a lot of other initiatives as well. There's the entrepreneurship program, the Open Innovative Entrepreneurship Program, the Greater Copenhagen EU office, and DTU X-Tech Hybrid Incubator as well. And so it's interesting to see how all of these initiatives can really come together and be capitalized upon. We can see, and also the size of the regions is very, very different. But what we're trying to do is to see what underlying initiatives are that can form the basis of future. So I'd like to thank you for your attention, and I'm sure our exchange of ideas and initiatives will give rise to some great new initiatives.
Thank you very much. And indeed, TwInSolar also aims to foster this exchange between diverse islands. And so, for instance, today we have with us participants from Balearic Islands, from from Madeira and from other islands. So thank you very much for being with us today. And so for a start now, I would like to give the floor to Daniel Henriquez, who is Head of Unit for Renewable Energy at the Institute for Technology for Canary Islands, and who will present us the best practices developed in Canary Islands regarding renewable energy and research and innovation. Thank you, Daniel. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Do you hear me well? Yes? Okay.
Very well.
Perfect. Good morning, good afternoon, and thank you for inviting us to this workshop. Over the next minutes, I will show how the Canary Islands are transforming their unique geography into opportunities for cutting-edge research, technology, and collaborative projects by investing in strategic research and development, forging strong public-private partnerships, and embracing forward-thinking policies. The Canary Islands are becoming a model of sustainable development and for island territories. So let's explore some initiatives driving this transition. Just a few words on the electrical situation of the archipelago. So just Canary Islands is an European Spanish territory located close to the northwest coast of Morocco. We are it's around 120 kilometers from the coast of Morocco. So we are an electrical isolated systems, okay? So we are composed by 6 insular power systems. So currently only Fuerteventura and Lanzarote Islands have an electrical connection, but the connection between Tenerife and La Gomera is in progress. So we expect the connection in operation before the end of the next year. So the rest penetration is not too high for now. It's around 25%. So with a lot of difference between islands. So El Hierro has a 70% of rest penetration, and La Gomera is the lower penetration of the archipelago is around 15% of rest penetration. Okay. So the Canary Islands have established a research and development framework with on the extended smart specialization strategy is the RIS3 for 2021 to 2027. So our 5 main focus areas reflect our unique natural environment and economic structure, covering tourism, health, blue economy, astrophysics, and emerging industries. So we also place great emphasis on cross-cutting themes like digitalization and sustainability to ensure that innovations are both cutting edge and environmentally friendly. Complementary policies such as the blue economy strategy and the circular economy action plan help us to create a comprehensive framework that drives sustainable development and job creation across multiple sectors. Okay. In terms of funding, the Canary Islands benefit from various European programs, most notably is the European Regional Development Fund and Horizon Europe. Regionally, the ASIS is the regional agency of the research, development, and innovation that provides a competitive course with 3 million euros dedicated to applied research in 2024, for example. We also have the Canarias Progreso 2030 initiative is to reinforce the innovation via new science law, the plan of the Canary Islands for research and development, and the Science Pact and the digital agenda. Additionally, public-private partnerships are crucial for us. Our universities and research centers like the Institute of Astrophysics in the Canary Islands and ITC, okay, the Technology Institute of the Canary Islands, collaborate closely with the local business, okay, and the government institutions. These collaborative ecosystems ensures that the research and development actions have a real impact on the energy transition and the overall resilience of our islands. Now that we have the research and development that started in the Canary Islands, I would like to take a look on some concrete projects aligned with this, in particular in the area where in ITC is working. No? It's the distributed solar generation. Okay. So first one is the Aquasol project. It's funded by Horizon Europe program. You are starting now this project, seeks to develop innovative solutions for integrated water and solar energy management in island settings by combining advanced solar technologies with improved water desalination systems. So this project aims to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels and ensure a secure water supply. Aquasol brings together partners from academia, industry, and local governments, enhancing our capacity for collaborative research and supporting sustainable development in Canary Islands. So one of the projects funded was Horizon Europe we have now. Okay. Other projects, the Connect Heat is a live funded project. So it's a progress. It's a focus on decarbonizing heating and cooling by involving local stakeholders in the creation of energy communities. We emphasized community mobilization, empowering citizens to adopt sustainable energy solutions, and decentralized innovation using resources like biomass, solar, and geothermal. Our goal in this project is to develop a replicable, scalable models that can serve as references across Europe. Right now, we are establishing in a hybrid energy community. It's electrical and heating and cooling in the south of Gran Canaria to supply services for high demand sectors such as tourism and industry. So, of course, by fostering collaboration among public authorities, business, and local communities. Connect Heat is driving the transition to a cleaner, more efficient energy systems. Other project is Microgrid Blue. It's an innovative project funded by the European Interreg that aims to fostering integration of renewable energies in islands and regions with weak electrical grids. It's led by us, by ITC, and the project brought together a diverse consortium of partners. Main goals were to design, deploy intelligent microgrids and hybrid energy systems capable of maximizing renewable penetration while ensuring grid stability. One of the project's highlights is the use of battery storage and smart management tools, which boost energy efficiency and resilience during power outage. In La Gomera, for islands, for example, we have implemented an advanced system that not only optimize self-consumption in the community, but also provide backup in emergencies. So, meanwhile, in Senegal, Microgrid has supported rural communities in several demo projects we have installed there in these countries. So, this is one example. It's in the framework of the Microgrid Blue project. It's a pilot demonstration have been implemented in the rural area of La Gomera Islands. This pilot can supply a portion of the distribution network in island mode. In case of problems in the island, we have the DSO allow us the disconnection of the area in order to supply electricity in emergency mode. And an innovative energy management system have been developed to operate and optimize the production with the dual aim of maximizing the self-consumption for the community and also increasing any surplus energy sold to the market, okay, in order to maximize the benefits as well. Okay. So another key demonstration under this innovative project was building in Senegal. It's a rural village in Senegal. It's the first intelligent microgrid capable of supplying energy in parallel with the national grid in a rural area. And the system also supports island mode to keep the lights on during frequent outages caused by the grid instability. So by integrating modern renewable technologies and battery storage, we reduce the dependence of the imported energy while we offer a critical resilience services. Okay, so beyond showcasing the feasibility of microgrids with grids, So environments, this pilot helps define the technical and regulatory frameworks needed for broader implementation in the country, in Senegal. So other project, we are also working in our area funded by Horizon 2020 project, is ongoing project. JET is Reflect Africa that tackles the energy challenges in Africa by turning agricultural and agri-food waste into valuable bioenergy resource through biomass gasification. Okay, so we are 29 partners from 16 different countries, okay, in Europe and Africa. So the project sets up large-scale demonstrations in Morocco, in Ghana, and South Africa. You can see the pictures of the microgrid with the gasification and PV plant we are installing in the north of Ghana, very close to the border with Burkina Faso. Okay, so this project, by converting residues from peanut shells to sugarcane bagasse, for example, into clean energy and biochar, this project increase lower emission and enhance soil fertility for local farmers. Okay. So in conclusion, okay, I don't want to speak too much. Is the Canadian Islands provide a fertile ground for research and innovation initiatives that support the energy transition. Our regional strategy combined with projects like the previous presenter, Aquasol, Econite, Microgrid Blue, demonstrates how collaboration, okay, between public and private sectors, research institutions, and local communities can drive sustainable solutions. So moving forward, we will continue to capitalize on European funding opportunities, foster cross-regional cooperation, and develop cutting-edge technologies that can serve as models for other island territories. So thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Daniel, for sharing with us these very interesting projects. And it also highlights the importance of the public-private partnerships and also the EU funds. So I think we will also get back to this topic later today. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now we are traveling towards the Baltic Sea with Patrick Dahl, who is head of operations at Energy Centrum Gotland, and who will present the projects which are developed in this big Swedish islands. I think it's even the biggest, right? So Patrick, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much for inviting me here today. Do you see my presentation okay?
Very well.
Perfect. As you say, now we are moving a little bit further up north in Europe, and I thought I'd try to share one specific project that we are running, which is focusing on the grid. But just before that, to give you a view of the island, as Claire just mentioned, we are the largest island in Sweden with 61,000 inhabitants. We are literally in the center of the Baltic Sea, which unfortunately also Mr. Putin is reiterating time and again. So preparedness and security is becoming also a very important part of the work with the energy transition today. We are, as an island, connected by cable to the mainland. Old cables, by the way, that are being replaced by 2030. And those are parallel cables, allowing us also to simultaneously run exports. Currently, we are exporting just as much as we are importing. We have onshore wind power on the island today, which covers half of our current consumption. This will, however, change, or I should say this reiterates the need for more renewable energy production, because we are going to see quite a tremendous increase in demand We do have two large consumers on the island. We have a cement plant, which by 2030 is going to establish a big CCS plant, carbon capture and storage, which is very energy demanding. And we also do have a ferry traffic, of course, being an island, which are just a couple of weeks back placed the order for the first ferry that will be able to run on hydrogen. So we see energy demand on the island is being drastically increased in the coming 15 to 20 years. Energicentrum Gotland, just to give you a brief view, we are a public unit run by the municipality or the region of Gotland, and our job, our function is to support the general public and the companies of Gotland in this energy transition. Our goal is to have a renewable energy system by 2040. Yes. What I'm going to talk about, here you see also the location of the island, is capacity-based tariffs. I cannot speak for the other countries or the islands represented here, but in Sweden we do have a situation where the grid as it is underutilized on Gotland and in Sweden, and not taking enough account on what flexibility and storage may provide in the future. So we join hands with the local DSO to ensure that future tariffs are being more intelligent and providing the right signals to consumers to act in a way that supports the grid and also in the end supports themselves. There has been sort of a regulatory sandbox for DSO tariffs in Sweden since 2016, where there's a constant look at different ways on how tariffs can be structured to utilize the grid in a smarter way and to increase flexibility into our system. With that as a base, the target of this project is, as I mentioned, to make the grid utilization more efficient. And the problem, of course, is the risk, especially now when we are upgrading our grid, that we are constructing a grid that is way too expensive. And what we have seen is that signals that is only following the spot prices, which is the common practice in Sweden, may in itself cause problems by everybody behaving in the same manner, which may make sense on a national level, but may not reflect the needs of the grid locally. And that is what this project is trying to do, to combine the two, to ensure that we tell consumers of the grid to act in accordance with what is needed locally, where they are situated. The spot prices, as I mentioned, they do cause local problems. They may make sense on a national level or an overriding level to follow where prices are most beneficial, but that in itself may not be the best way. You see the house symbolizing where you are locally, since it doesn't consider how the grid is built up and how it is utilized where you are. We see, of course, flexible resources being increased. We do have resources in our homes and certainly in our companies that may be balanced, that may be steered in one way or the other. And the fact that we are increasing a lot of resources that run on electricity may, in the worst case, increase costs for the grid. Since if we do it the old-fashioned way, we will simply add grid capacity to the cost in the end of the consumers. And what we say is that we can actually reduce the cost by utilizing these resources in the smartest way possible. So we're using a high-resolution capacity-based approach. We're simply trying to analyze the behaviors of the grid to realize what kind of signals we can produce. So we're looking at an area with 1,700 customers and 150 secondary. And depending on the station load, it's unique for every station. And we measure every 30 minutes. And it's, again, location and time specific. It is a 12-month test where we have 10 pilots in a certain part of the island where they, in real life, may be able to benefit from being able to steer their different resources that they have. So they will. The whole purpose here is that you will actually pay for the strain you cause, where you actually are and when it happens, and not paying by default for something that you may not even be utilizing. We do cooperate with a company having a technology based on AI that can do this power grid analysis and produce a digital twin, which we are able to utilize in the project. We do include the North Pole, which basically is the market for electricity up here in the north. You probably have something similar where you are. We have Engenic, which provides the customer interface with the app, which is very easy to use. We include the pricing model that we have constructed, and we certainly use historic data from customers and secondary substations. So all this together gives us a very clear view of what is actually going on in the grid on the specific location that we're looking at. Yeah, this is another way of showing how we use forecasts in providing the model with the right kind of input to again be able to provide the right signals out to the consumer. So the idea, of course, being that the consumer in the end, we don't think that in a mature market, we don't see that each customer will have the level of interest to do this on their own. So we could even foresee that this is something that grid companies manage your resources in the future. But right now, the pilots, they do get a user-friendly app where they can steer all their resources. There is a project report that, because the first part of the project was finalized in January, and now we continue with the pilots for another 1.5 years. There's a report here that you could access through our webpage and download. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Patrick, for sharing with us the perspective from Gotland, which is also very unique compared to other maritime basins, and also for highlighting the topic of the grids, which is of course extremely important for renewable energy and even more in islands. And this will also be a big topic at EU level, as we will see next week in the workshop. So thank you very much. And now let's move from the islands to Brussels, because as you know, the CPMR is not only active in projects, but is also following very closely the latest policy developments, which are of interest to peripheral maritime regions in Europe, including islands. And I will now give the floor to Marcel, who is Policy Officer for Cohesion, and who will present us the policy state of play regarding cohesion policy, in particular for research and innovation. Marcel, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Claire. And yes, I think I will start by sharing my screen because that usually takes a moment. In the meantime, I can already warn you that this will be also a very technical presentation, but not as not technical in a way as we have seen up to now. Can you see my screen already? Because
yes, we can, but not in a presentation mode.
does it work now?
Perfect. Yes.
Okay. Yes. So basically, as Claire said, I work on cohesion policy and the EU budget at the CPMR. And my idea now is to just give you a quick update on where we are concerning the future of cohesion policy and the EU budget, as you said, with a focus on research innovation, but also energy. Now, where I would like to start this off is to see where we are today and what the Commission is doing right now. Because usually if we look at what the Commission has done in the past, we also can get an idea where we might go and where it might want to go. Now, when we talk about research and innovation in cohesion policy, where we need to start today, of course, is STEP. So the Strategic Technologies for Europe platform. Basically, the first idea of the Commission last year was to create what was called a sovereignty fund to support critical technologies in Europe, meaning digital innovations, clean technologies, and also biotechnologies. But since the member states refused to provide any additional funding, any substantial additional funding, I might say, for this goal, the Commission then decided to instead do a platform that would recycle and reuse funding already allocated to other programs. You will notice this is something the Commission usually does when it does not get money for a new initiative. It just starts recycling funding that it already has and it creates a platform. So basically now looking at STEP, which is probably the precursor of the competitiveness fund that you might already have heard about. It started 1 year ago, meaning it's still quite a new initiative. Nonetheless, we can already see that, for example, in centrally managed funds, meaning funding that is directly managed by the Commission, 9.1 billion euros have already been mobilized. If we look at the shared management funds, meaning mainly cohesion policy funding, there the member states on a voluntary basis have already decided to allocate 6.1 billion of their cohesion funds towards STEP priorities, which corresponds to around 15% of the total amount that they would be allowed to contribute to STEP objectives under the current regulations. Now, what is important to note, just for the sake of being up to date, is the member states have until the end of the month to allocate even more funding to STEP priorities and receive a 30% co-financing, pre-financing by the Commission, meaning upfront funding. This is one of the incentives that the Commission has put in place to quickly get member states to reprogram cohesion funding towards STEP priorities. Now, why am I saying that this might be indicative of where the Commission might want to go with the future budget and the future of cohesion policy? Because basically what the recently published competitiveness compass, so sort of the guidelines for the future of research innovation but also industrial policy in the EU describes as a fund, is basically just what STEP already does, but under one common regulation. The key difference here is that this would be a direct management fund. Why is this important? Well, what you see on your screen is on the left side the three main pillars of the potential future EU budget, the next MFF. You have first the national plans, meaning plans that would coordinate all the funding programs that are currently under shared management, mostly cohesion, but probably also agricultural funding and the rest. Then you have the competitiveness fund, regrouping most of the programs and policies that are currently managed directly by the Commission. And lastly, you have the Global Europe Fund, which will regroup all the financing tools and programs related to external actions. Now, why is this important? Why should we look at this? Because what you see here in red are all the different funding instruments that currently contribute to STEP. Now you see most of them already are under direct management, but on the top right corner, you have those little outliers. Those little outliers are the cohesion policy funds. The problem is, or not the problem, but the risk is that if STEP is to transform into the competitiveness fund, and the competitiveness fund is supposed to be a direct management fund, meaning directly managed by the Commission, what will happen to these little outliers? What will happen to the cohesion compartment that finances already now almost half of what the Commission wants to do with STEP? Now, here you see how STEP is currently set up and working with cohesion policy. You see that you can introduce step-specific objectives under policy objectives 1 and policy objective 2, meaning there is no extra step policy objective that has been added. Rather, you have an extra specific objectives under PO1 and PO2. In these step-specific objectives, what you can do is you can support also larger companies, meaning up to now you usually could only support SMEs under cohesion policy. Now you can also support larger companies, but only in regions that either are less developed regions or that are located in a member state that has a GDP per capita under the EU average. Now, this comes with 100% co-financing, meaning the member states do not have to put up any money when they are financing projects that are programmed under STEP. And as I said already, you get this 30% pre-financing if you include STEP-specific objectives in your regional or national program before the end of March 2025. Now, the issue here is, if we look at it from an economic perspective, is that many regions that can use STEP to support larger companies, which basically means just a form of state aid to larger companies that contribute to the STEP objectives of developing digital, clean, and biotechnologies. Many of those regions that can support larger companies do not have the preconditions needed to actually successfully use the money. Meaning, what we will see is that either some regions just won't do any STEP objectives, although they can, or we will see that the difference between regions that can successfully use STEP for larger companies and those that don't will increase. Both of those are risks that could potentially undermine the final goal of cohesion policy, which is territorial, social, and economic cohesion. This is something we have to keep in mind if we think about the future competitiveness fund as well. Now, again, what are we looking exactly at when we talk about the future of cohesion and competitiveness? Well, yes, the competitiveness compass describes the competitiveness fund as STEP under common regulation. Okay, we've covered this. But what I would like you to also consider is the overall situation that we are in the EU right now. We have a very tight budgetary situation. We have to repay next generation EU debt, so basically the debt we took on to finance the RRF. But we don't have any new own resources, at least for now, that could co-finance this, meaning the debt repayment will have to come out of the regular EU budget. Given the current situation, member states do not seem to be willing to contribute any more money in the next programming period to the EU budget than they are doing now. What does this mean? Basically, we can be lucky, if we want to say it like this, if we have the same EU budget in overall monetary terms in the next programming period, but we have to reserve a significant part to repay the next generation EU debt, up to 22 billion per year. This is more than 10% of the EU budget. if you consider this plus all the additional priorities, let's talk about defense, let's talk about competitiveness, all those things that also need to be tackled by the EU budget because they are now political priorities, well, the EU budget cannot do it all. What this means for cohesion is, well, that we have seen, it means that basically all funds in the future EU budget will need to contribute to competitiveness in one way or the other. Okay, what does this mean for regions in particular? Basically, it could mean that we risk losing funding that is currently allocated under PO1 and PO2. Again, those are the policy objectives that have the specific objectives concerning STEP. And this funding in the next budget could potentially be shifted to the Competitiveness Fund, which then will be implemented directly by the Commission, meaning regions will lose the capacity to decide and implement this funding. If we look at it in monetary terms, we can only estimate it up for now. The maximum step allocation currently in cohesion policy is around 43 billion euros. We could consider this the minimum level of funding that could potentially be lost by cohesion policy in the next programming cycle. If we look at the entire budget allocated to PO1 or PO2, it's 170 billion. Probably we will be somewhere between those two in terms of funding reduction for cohesion policy. But again, this is not certainty. Things are very much moving as we speak. And those are basically educated guesses based on the information that we have. Now, everything could change given how quick things are changing at the moment in the world all around us. The main question that we have to ask, and where I don't have the answer either at the moment, is what will be the role of cohesion policy in the next MFF and how will it relate to competitiveness in particular? This question is very relevant, especially because the smart specialization strategy conditionality that we have had in the past through two programming cycles might disappear.
Sorry,
Why do
Marcel.
I say this? First of all, sorry?
Sorry, Marcel, just to say that if you could wrap up in 1 minute, please,
Yeah.
it would be perfect. Thank you.
No issue. Basically saying that the smart specialization conditionality could disappear. It has not been mentioned in any documents related to competitiveness, the future of Horizon, whatever. And now it's the rumors in Brussels start circulating that the conditionality might disappear altogether. This does not mean that S3 will disappear and it will not be prohibited, but the conditionality that every region needs to have one, follow one, implement one, might be going away. So this is something that I also would like you to consider. And to wrap up on a more positive note, green energy is a crucial element for competitiveness for the new Commission. And in particular, if you look at the key KPI that the Commission has put out there, they want to add 100 gigawatt of renewable power capacity annually up to 2030. On this note, I will leave you. I will not bore you with the budget any longer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marcel, for this insight into the policy debate about cohesion policy and competitiveness. And indeed, this is very important because this will affect, of course, the territorial cohesion and the future funds dedicated to research and innovation. And so now I would like to welcome our last speaker, Bertrand Noiret. Bertrand, you work at the French Ministry of Higher Education and Research, and you act as the national contact point for France, for Horizon Europe, and more specifically for the widening and the European research area. So the floor is yours now to present us the cooperation opportunities for research and innovation at EU level. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, perfect.
Properly? Okay, perfect. And I think I will continue in French. Merci pour cette invitation.
So thank you for this invitation and thanks for all the presentations we've already had until now. And I'd like to first of all present the opportunities that are available within the current program that could interest you. So just quickly, Bertrand, my name is Bertrand Noiret. I'm part of the MESR team in France. It's the higher education ministry that organizes our mission, and we are about 40 people are in our team. They represent the nation of France, and they represent domain widening and widening throughout Europe. And for the moment, I'm the only person working in the particular area that we're talking about today, but we are recruiting another person who will be working with us full time. That's very short. I work 40% of my job is dedicated to the issues that we're talking about today. The missions of Horizon Europe PCN is to find pertinent information on the present opportunities for financing and to accompany people who are or organizations are requesting funding, and I am available at the address that you can see on the screen. And you can also consult our LinkedIn page that you can see at the bottom right here, and you can post any information that you feel pertinent or obtain information concerning the financing projects in this program. So the wider program now, let's talk about that. This is the cross-cutting pillar in the program. There are three pillars, one concerning academic research, one concerning worldwide programs and European industrial competitiveness. This is a very prescriptive top-down, and pillar 3 concerns more making Europe more innovative in its approach. And so this is a cross-cutting program. We collaborate with these three main pillars, and there are two overarching objectives that I will now show you. So, widening participation, therefore widening participation, wide area, of course, in Europe, hence the acronym wide area. Okay, and reinforcing the European research space. And we have an overarching document that we use, and I'll show you have a link that I will show. And there are three main destinations. Destination 1 is to improve access to excellence. That's related to widening. So improving access to excellent initiatives, attracting and mobilizing the best talent. So headhunting and getting the best talent, that's widening. That corresponds to pillar 1 as well. And the third one concerns pillar 2, that's reforming and improving European RI. And I'm going to give you a few examples of this first pillar. Just a few words about the countries that are concerned here, and the territories that have been concerned. These are territories that are perhaps, well, not lagging behind, but where the level of participation is perhaps lower. And these are countries where the infrastructure and the ecosystem for innovation is perhaps less developed than other countries. So these are countries and regions, and there are regions too. And the specificities of these calls concerning widening are several. First, they are bottom-up initiatives. There are no prescribed, predefined themes that the calls are based on. Any theme can be considered. These are also calls where the widening territories are the only eligible to be coordinators, project leaders. So when we have a collaborative project, it's only the widening projects who can be the project leaders and the coordinators. So these calls can be destined only to the widening territories. These calls also don't necessarily don't aim to finance just only research, but they're more sort of structural calls to develop an ecosystem. And within that framework, according to the type of instrument that's chosen, they can a number of research teams can be financed. Okay, so a number of instruments have been set up in Europe, and we already heard talk about some of these this morning. The idea being to implement and to the widening objectives. To give you an example, for example, about teaming. This is an open call that was launched only a few weeks ago, but there's a whole range of instruments that enable stakeholders to be able to integrate projects that are already underway, such as the case with facility and also twinning, which we've already heard talk about today. That's already been discussed today, but there are also other initiatives and other instruments that either through twinning or through networks, various stakeholders can come together and participate on projects. Regarding Destination 2, now, attracting and mobilizing the best talents, this allows instruments to be used to attract the best talents. And there is a call which will be shortly opened in April and will close in autumn 25. And the objective will be to attract postdoctoral students to ERA fellowships. My slides will be available, so I just sort of try and pull out the nitty-gritty of these slides and to be able to move it forward. And let's talk about the cost program. It's slightly sort of outside of widening, but it is related to widening. COST is an association which finances networks of researchers and brings together research communities around a particular theme. So the theme being, the objective of the theme being to bring research. It's a bottom-up call, in fact, and the themes are open-ended. There have to be at least 7 participating partners when the call is tendered, and it can involve other countries outside of the widening framework also, and you can and I will give you the website which gives you all the information to the actions of COSTUS. So, but this particular program is open until October the 21st, so you have time to, that's the deadline, so you have time to participate in that if you like. But these are interdisciplinary projects on inclusive themes. They're both inclusive in terms of the stakeholders and the territories concerned, and they promote inclusion and equality between the participants, and they favor the inclusion of young researchers. It's also possible to sort of come on board already in a project already when it's underway, if it's a subject that interests you and for which you can contribute, and if you're interested in this, you can contact me and I'll tell you more about it. These are projects that receive 4-year funding, and they promote the networking of stakeholders, also small-scale studies They promote small-scale studies that have a particular impact in certain regions. And here are a number of important dates. Recently organized an info day, and the video is available already. You can have a look at that on YouTube, or you can download the presentation. So please don't hesitate to come back to me if you'd like some more information about that. And concerning Horizon Europe and wider 2025, the NCP, that's the National Contact in France, is organizing a number of webinars on the different aspects of this, which will take place in April and May of this year. And for the deadline, the preliminary deadline is the 6th of May. So again, if you're interested, please don't hesitate to contact me. And also just to say that the Commission is organizes info days on all of the different aspects concerning the 2025 projects, and concerning wider. It will be on the 20th of May. A whole day will be dedicated to describing all of the different instruments involved. You can consult also the Commission site concerning all of these calls, and they've all been announced. But also you can consult the French side on the ministry, the French Higher Education Ministry, where information is given concerning these programs and concerning the wider and cross mini sites. You can find all the information on that website. Well, I'll stop there so that we can have a discussion. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Bertrand, for presenting us these very interesting cooperation opportunities. We take good note of these dates and your contact, and I confirm that all the PowerPoint presentation will be available on the TwInSolar website. So no worries if you didn't have time to note everything down. And of course, we are happy to facilitate the contact with our speakers. And so now, of course, we are a bit late in the schedule, but let's take some time to discuss anyway. We can take 5 minutes. So I am now turning to our participants. So now is the time for questions or any comment from your side. If you wish to share best practice from your island, you can share it in the chat, or you can also raise your hand and I will give you the floor. So is there any question to our speakers or any project you would like to highlight also from your region? Mathieu, please.
Alors, je vais parler en français, même si c'est pour une réponse en anglais. J'aurais une question pour Patrick.
Okay, I've got a question for Patrick Dahl. I'd like to know, how did you manage to select for the operation that you were in the east of the island of Gotland, and you took some of the people to test a tariff system that was a bit different? What did you do? Did you really give them that, or is it still virtual? Is it just a recording of what they would have done? How did you manage to get these people involved in your approach, and who in your consortium was able to actually do that?
Thank you, Mathieu, for this question. I was looking at the list of participants, and unfortunately, I think that Patrick had to leave for another meeting. But we'll make sure to pass on the question and to facilitate the contact with you. I don't know if someone else from Gotland would like to take the floor to bring more precision.
Well, hello, I'm from Gotland.
Hello, Roland.
Alors, bonjour. Je ne sais pas si je peux répondre à votre question là, mais je pense que
I'm not sure if I can answer
oui,
your question, but
c'est un projet qui
it
porte
is
sur
a project
le
that
gel
is
officiel. Je pense qu'il y a un
based
RGV
on the
demandé
official
à une réponse
Gmail.
plus juste
But I
de
can
la part
give
de
you
Patrick
perhaps a
que je
more
reviens après.
precise
Merci.
answer from Patrick, and I'll get back to you on that.
Je vais profiter d'avoir la parole
Thank you
pour
very
poser
much.
maintenant
I'm
une
going
question à
to
notre collègue
take advantage
des
of
îles
having the floor
Canaries,
to ask
Daniel Henriques.
a question of our
Si
question
j'entends
from
sur
the
le
Canary
système
Islands,
électrique en France,
Daniel
j'ai entendu
Enriquez.
expliquer qu'on a
I
à La
think that
Réunion,
your island
ça veut
system
dire
must
que
be
nous, à
very
La
similar to
Réunion,
that
on
we
a un
have in
unique
the Réunion Island.
DSO,
We have
TSO, donc un
one
opérateur
DSO,
de réseau,
TSO, which is
et les
an
prix
operator with
sont
two
fixés à l'avance.
networks
Et il
or
est
two
souvent très
grids, and
compliqué
the prices are
de les
fixed
embarquer
ahead
dans
of
nos
time.
projets parce
And
qu'ils
it's
ont leurs
very
propres stratégies
often
qui ne vont pas
difficult
forcément compatibles
to
avec
know what they're
celles,
going
par
to
exemple,
do
les
because they have their own strategies, which aren't
TwInSolar. Comment vous arrivez
necessarily in
justement à
phase with
embarquer les avis
our
des opérateurs de réseau
schedules.
électriques dans vos projets?
How do you work with your local utility in the Canary Islands?
Sorry, can you repeat the small question? Yeah.
Yeah, I can do it in English also. In Réunion Island, we have a unique DSO and TSO, so system operator for the electricity, and also
Yeah.
we have a regulation for the prices of electricity. And their policy is usually not very compatible with research and innovation action that try to make autonomy, and it's very difficult to involve them in our research and innovation project. And I want to know if it's also the case for you, or did you manage to convince them to participate in the project, or what is your, because it's a real issue in La Réunion.
Okay, so regarding, so I'm going to put a video. Okay, so sorry, yes, here, Matthew. Yes, regarding the DSO, sometimes we involve the DSO in some research projects. Okay, but sometimes it's difficult. Okay, to involve them. Okay, but any case, the DSOs in Canary Island is NL distribution. So they are very interesting because the DSO in Canary Islands only manage some aspects of the distribution grid, because we have also the TSO, of course, the system operators for one side, and the other side we have the DSO only for the maintenance and exploitation of the distribution grid. So they are the responsible finally to to maintain the quality in their grid. Okay. So they are very interesting for example, involve them in some projects where the microgrids. So microgrids, we have to understand that the microgrid have a set of distributed generation with a common energy management system, okay? But it is very clear the location is just a location where we can supply services to the DSO. And for them, it's very important the emergency supply, because in case of any problem of the line, okay, so they have to move very fast with the diesel engines and so on to supply electricity to the customers. Okay, only in that case, in case of emergency, the DSO have the responsibility to do it. So the microgrids, they are very interesting in this type of system because we can supply this type of services and research for islands. Okay, so in case of cuts, in case of congestions, the microgrids with centralized storage system can supply this type of services. So we involve sometimes in the projects, and other times we only have an agreement with them in order to test some of the services we can supply. Okay, so I don't know if I respond to the question or not. Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. And for instance, when you want to imagine you develop a solution based on a microgrid, and you want to know if you extend this solution to the whole grid of Canarias Islands, so putting this solution in different places of the grid, do you have access to the data to know what will be the impact for the whole supply of the island?
Okay, in the case of we are analyzing in 2020 with support for the government, the regional government of the Canary Islands, we analyze all the lines, all the distribution grid of the island of La Gomera, for instance. Okay, so with the information supplied with the DSO. Okay, so of course, sometimes the low demand for each substation or transformers have to be estimated, but in other cases we have direct access to the transformer to the data loads. Okay, so we have monitored several transformers of the DSO, and we have the information. For example, in the specific case of La Gomera, the project we presented before, the system there is a centralized PV battery system. This PV system, battery system, is associated to an area, to a locality, okay, with is at the end of the line of the island. So we can supply electricity to the customers behind two transformers. We are the system connected in medium voltage grid. Okay, so we receive in real time the information of the load in the area. Okay, and with this information, with different statistical algorithms, so we try to maximize the self-consumption. Okay, in case of excess of electricity, we optimize to maximize the revenues also of the system. Of course, it depends also depends of the national regulation. Okay, on self-consumption. So in order to distribute the electricity between the customers. Okay, so we have created an energy community, and according to the regulation, of course, we cannot send signal prices to the customer, but we can, I don't know how to say, it's a dynamic sharing factors between all the customers inside, and we can send some information to the customers like, we have a sector of electricity, it's the moment, okay, please to absorb or switch on your washing machines, for example. Okay, so but we don't send direct signal like Gotland project I saw before. Okay, because it depends too much of the capacity of the people. Okay, it's very difficult because it's a lot of old people there. Okay, it's not easy. The social engagement is difficult. Okay, finally, but it's the way we are working on that.
Thank you, Daniel. And I think you provide a good conclusion also on the social factor, which is very important
it's very
in
important.
the energy transition. So thank you very much. And I think we can continue probably this conversation in the next workshop next week, if you want to join us as well as participants. Because now for today, we are reaching the end of this first workshop. And I would really like to thank you all for your contributions, for sharing with us your insights from your islands. So next week, on April 1st, we will focus on the clean energy transition as a driver for growth and a sustainable territorial development for islands and outermost regions. So we will benefit from presentations from Sardinia, from the Azores. We will have a policy update on the files on energy at EU level. And finally, we will have a presentation by the Interreg Europe Secretariat, and more specifically, the Policy Learning Platform. So make sure to join us. So again, thank you to all of our panelists for their insightful presentation. Thank you for joining us. And finally, a special thanks also to the interpreters who are with us today. So we look forward to seeing you next week, and I wish you a very pleasant day. Goodbye.
So thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Au revoir.
Bye.